to focus on the core system development and the finance activities. So in such a situation, it's very important to take stock of this thing. And none of this thing, what the CFO is doing, you can dispense with. Hardly there is anything that can be dispensed with. They're all very important for business. They are key to your survival. You cannot dispense with the fuel supply issues and representation with the governments when you have got huge circular debt issues. So what the CFO should do? We feel there are two models that can work for him in that situation. One, he may have a shadow position who takes care of that planning part, system development part, internal controls part, process efficiency part. Or two, the second option is to have very high delegation and strong business or the unit heads at different levels. And this is the model that we have in KSC. We have very strong departmental heads. We have divided our finance into three categories, three broad categories, conceptual categories. One is the core accounts part. The other one is the treasury part. And the third is the business finance part that we talked about earlier in the last presentation, the business finance part. The core accounting handles the accounting side, treasury manages the cash, and the business finance deal with all forecasting, budgeting, and driving value out of that business activities and all this. And all these departments are headed by very seasoned professionals who virtually act as CFOs within their own domain. So this is the structure that we have. And I think this is important to recognize at the first stage. The second most important thing is to have right people at right places. Now, this is not only important for a company in crisis, it's generally applicable to all companies, but it becomes more important, of paramount importance, when you are in crisis. If you are in a large company, you don't have the luxury of going down, deep down, and start holding hands. If things don't move, you don't have that luxury. You don't have that time to go down, start holding hands. You need good people. You need good managers down the line. They are the people who will be managing, who will be dealing with lenders, with your suppliers, with your customers, and all that. So what is different from a normal company in this situation is that you need crisis managers. You not only need financial wizards and IFRS experts, you need crisis managers because you are in a state of crisis. You want to break the status quo. You are challenging the current position. You want to bring change. So what you need are change managers. That's important to realize, that you don't have to have a normal recruitment process. Your recruitment process should be dynamic enough to take into account these factors. You want change managers. You want crisis managers. People who can handle these situations. And for that, bear in mind, you might have to pay a very high premium as well, because you might not be a very attractive employer for those quality human resources at that point in time. So be prepared to do that. Have crisis managers, SOP developers, and not SOP followers. Then comes the next and the most important part in that business, from the core finance side, is raising finance. We know raising finance is not easier even for profitable companies in these days. So what to say of a company in crisis, which is facing liquidity crunch, which is a high-risk company for lenders. So what to do then? It is difficult, but ladies and gentlemen, it's not impossible. When we as KSC, after posting losses, after incurring heavy losses consistently for last so many years, if we are able to raise foreign funding of over $300 million and without a sovereign guarantee, you can do that as well. Now, how is that possible? There are few key broad tips when you are dealing with your lenders. A, you have to have a business plan that you believe in. Don't try to convince others unless you are convinced deep down yourself. Unless you have done so, don't go and present a half-cooked thing. It's a recipe for failure. It's bound to fire back. So you have to have a plan that you believe in. And second thing, be upfront, be transparent. Don't use creative accounting. Trust is pivotal. In lenders-borrowers relationship, trust is pivotal. Be upfront. If there are issues, be proactive and open in your communication with your lenders. Don't try to hide things. Don't try to cover up things. If you are breaching covenants, go and get waivers for that. Don't try to cover up. That's important. 3, realize you have in your business certain potentials that you have to realize and explore. That's important. Let me share with you a recent example. In last October, we were in Hamburg having meeting with German ECA officials. So in that meeting, we are presenting the KSE case for financing. Why should German ECA, Hermes Finance case? It was a 2 hours long presentation, a marathon session. We presented our case. Once that was over and we were having an informal chit chat, one of the gentlemen sitting there, he said, guys, do you know, we were looking forward to have this presentation. I said, why? You were looking forward to have this presentation? He said, we were wondering, what's there in your company? What's the strength that you guys have that you are coming and discussing this case with us? You are a company in losses, you don't have sovereign guarantee. I mean, what are you trying to come and present here? And I asked him, what are you feeling now? He said, I'm now looking forward to receive your application so that I can put it up in our interministerial committee meeting. So what are the key learnings for us from there? And I feel what changed their thoughts and mood was we put up everything straight on the table. Told them we are this company. We are in losses. We have issues. But with all these issues, we have got this sponsor. The type of business that we are in is giving us the strength. We are a utility company. We are there to stay. We have very strong sponsors. We have got equity injection of over $300 million. And with all this balance sheet, we've got a very strong security structure. When IFC and ADB can lend us, why can't you? When OEKB, an Austrian ECA, can fund us through a supplier G, why can't you? And it was after a long presentation, the mood was positive. And while I'm speaking here, we have already got a commitment of financing from them. So that's important. You have to be upfront. You have to have a plan that you believe in. Unless you believe in, you can't convince others. And then be ready to pay a premium. You see, people try to negotiate too much on rates. Well, I feel when you are in crisis, don't try to squeeze your lenders too much on that. Try to put yourself in their shoes. And see, if you were lending a risky company, wouldn't you require to be compensated for bearing that risk by higher returns? You have a lot of issues to handle with them. From grace period to covenants to security, do not squeeze too much on rate. You have to pay that premium. Pay that price tag for making the funds available to your lenders. So that's also an important point. And then tap alternative resources. Apart from your traditional running finance, balance sheet, term loan, you've got a host of other sources as well. Supplier credit is famous, is also very important. Deferred LCs, sale and leaseback, ECA financing that we have successfully tried. We got ECA financing for one of our projects through GE from Austrian ECA. We have got commitment from Hermes. There's also an ECA financing. And then in managing that, you must also realize what you can do is you can use your purchasing power. That's exactly what we did when we were going and sourcing this money when trying to source this money from Hermes. We have a normal capital expenditure in the transmission department. Every year we purchase power transformers, we spend money on towers, we spend money on high tension lines. What we did was, we made a 3-year plan and we bundled all the purchases into a huge project with a budget cost of $70 million. And then we went and floated the tenders with a precondition that bids will be accepted with financing commitments. And we were successful in that strategy. So you have to think innovatively how to raise finance. And revaluation of assets. If you are in crisis, that's a smart, quick win for you. If your assets are not truly reflected in your balance sheet at their fair economic value, you can do that. We realized a gain of 48 billion rupees or $500 million, and that gives you a lot of strength when you go and you discuss with your lenders. If your balance sheet is truly reflecting the economic value of your assets. Now comes the cash flow management. We know cash is the king. It has to be managed. It's key to your survival. It's key to your going concern. Now, how to manage it better? You can only manage your cash flow better when you are able to forecast at a reasonable accuracy level. So your forecasting skills are important here. When you are managing cash flows, you should have a strong MIS behind, a centralized database that you can help to develop forecast. You are not a normal company. Static budgets won't help you. You are managing difficult circumstances. So rolling forecasts are the key for you. What we do here is, we make monthly forecasts, and those monthly forecasts are even supported by daily cash flow positions. Know exactly when are you going to receiving, whom are you receiving money from, where are you going to spend, when to spend. Only then you can make smart decisions. Then your contingency planning in cash flow is also important. You will always come across with stress expenditures, unforeseen expenditures, and you will have to manage them because business drives cash flows. You only manage them. Then budgeting. Now, budgeting is also tricky in such organizations. When we started off, we tried to change the culture in our company.